So what happens when a plan, a big one, backfires spectacularly? What if an enemy's strategy to break a nation actually ends up bringing it closer together? Well, that's the very heart of a pretty fascinating address from Iran's supreme leader, who's claiming that a campaign of foreign aggression did the exact opposite of what it was supposed to. And this is the core of his entire argument. It's a powerful and, frankly, counterintuitive statement. The idea that acts of aggression, specifically targeted killings, didn't shatter the nation, but instead created incredible unity. So how does he make that case? Let's dive in. Okay, so first things first, we gotta set the stage a little. Who exactly is saying this, and what's the background here? Right, so the speaker is Iran's Supreme Leader Mujtaba Khamenei. And you have to understand, this isn't just some run-of-the-mill political speech. We're talking about a message coming from the absolute highest authority in Iran. This is designed to shape the national narrative. And boy, is he tackling a heavy subject. He's diving deep into Iran's response to foreign military actions, and he's specifically talking about the targeted assassinations of key Iranian figures. But here's the key. He's not framing these as random, isolated incidents. No, he's presenting them as part of a much bigger, strategic plan by an adversary. So what was this grand plan? In his address, the Supreme Leader lays out what he calls the enemy's grand illusion. It's a multi-stage strategy that he says was all about trying to bring Iran to its knees. Now, this part is really important for context. His speech suggests this whole aggressive plan wasn't the first move. It only happened after the enemy gave up hope of sparking some kind of popular uprising from inside Iran. So you could say this wasn't plan A, this was plan B. And that is the illusion he's talking about. This belief from the enemy that, hey, if we just push hard enough with these actions, we can create so much fear and instability that the whole system will just crumble. But as we're about to see, he argues this was a huge miscalculation. So here's the plan. As he laid it out, broken into 3 steps. Step 1, decapitate the system. The idea was to eliminate not just the head of the system, but also its key pillars, the other essential people holding the whole thing together. With the leadership targeted, step 2 was all about psychology. The goal was to terrorize the Iranian people, to create this climate of such intense fear and hopelessness that they'd just give up any resistance and, as the quote says, be driven from the field. And all of this leads to a pretty chilling final objective. In this telling, the endgame wasn't just control. It was the complete domination and, get this, dismembering of Iran as a nation. We're talking about breaking a country apart, carving it up into smaller pieces. So for him, this was a truly existential threat. So the plan was ambitious, and the stakes could not be higher. The crucial question he poses, and the one we're about to explore, is, did it actually work? All right, this is where the story takes a huge turn. We're pivoting now from what the enemy intended to happen to what the Supreme Leader claims actually happened. And this illustrates the core message perfectly. On one side, you have the intended outcome, a population just paralyzed by fear and despair. But on the other, the stated result is the complete opposite, a nation galvanized by what he calls incredible unity. So here's the twist. The very actions that were designed to fracture the country, the targeted killings of its leaders, he frames them as the catalyst, the thing that forged an even stronger national bond. Instead of driving people apart in fear, he claims it brought them together in solidarity. So, let's boil this all down. What are the key takeaways from this address? We're going to recap the narrative that was just presented. Okay, so to recap his narrative, a calculated strategy of targeted killings was meant to terrorize the Iranian people, but the plan backfired dramatically. Instead of fear, it triggered a powerful wave of unity. And in his telling, that unity is what ultimately stopped the enemy's grander ambition to dominate and break up the nation. And that leaves us with a much broader question to think about, one that goes well beyond this specific address. What is the relationship between a nation's unity and the threats it faces? Can aggression, something that's intended to divide, sometimes become the very thing that unifies? It's a really complex dynamic and definitely worth considering.